face on her knee playing outside. Nancy had her appendix burst, requiring emergency surgery, and then later she was hit in the face with a baseball bat, knocking her out cold at the family picnic. The hysteria and panic that came from my mom's face was indescribable as Jerry carried Nancy's limp body to the house from the neighboring ball field at Twin Oaks School. Shelley was struck by a car in front of Dad's shop on Monroe Street when she was just a toddler, and something I am sure the poor woman driver will never forget, as Mother screamed at her, as Mother screamed at her that she had killed her baby. Things were quite hectic every day at the Brumwell house with 14 kids at home. Laundry and dishes never ended. With very little time to shop, Mom gardened, canned, and preserved as much as she could. If she couldn't grow it, we went to the gardens in Elvador along River Road, and even sometimes as far as Roseburg, to get 500 pounds of beans or 40 bushels of tomatoes. The kids were her prep cooks, and spent many of their summers washing jars, snapping beans, peeling tomatoes, shucking corn, and being worked like little slaves. Between Mom's preserves and all the wild game that Dad brought home, not much was store-bought except the staples, like flour, eggs, sugar, and butter. At one time, Mom worked out a deal with a guy from the 4J School District maintenance shops to bring fresh milk for a year in exchange for an engine job that Dad did at the shop. In the 70s, times were probably the hardest with so many mouths to feed. There were nightly trips behind the Albertson store on 18th Street to pick up the cold-out produce that was going in or already in the dumpster. This went on for a while until a police officer happened by and told Keith and Carmen to get out of that dumpster and told Mom she couldn't do that. She fibbed and told the officer that it was for her cows, which she did not have at that time. None of the kids died of starvation. When times were good, there were lots of barbecues and family outings to Siuslaw Falls, Cottage Grove Lake, and Fall Creek. Mom swam across Cottage Grove Lake not once, but twice. They took one vacation in the 70s. Wes drove them to Las Vegas to meet with Jack. She demanded they stop along the highway and dig up cacti for Mom's rock garden on Bailey Hill. They also brought back a horned toad for Keith's birthday. There was not one child that did not cause her stress. She was constantly called to the school for Jeff, Greg, and Jerry getting into trouble. She hated to deal with the school. Carmen suffered from asthma, which resulted in numerous battles with pneumonia. She and Keith rolled a go-kart at the school. Keith ended up with scrapes and bruises, but Carmen got a skull fracture when the go-kart rolled over her head. Edie, too, contributed to the list. She ran the car through the garage of the house just after getting her driver's license. She wasn't injured, but the house sure was. Like the cherry table, a similar incident happened while Mom was at the shop with Dad. On a hot summer day, Keith and Nancy got into a game of hot potato with a quart-sized bag of frozen strawberries. Keith threw it a little too hard. It flew past Nancy's hands and went right through the living room glass sliding door. What to do, what to do? I guess we just decided to close the curtains so Mom wouldn't notice. That didn't work out too well. The door was never replaced. A piece of plexiglass was put up and later a screen door until the house was sold.
That's all right.
The 50s, 60s, and 70s were filled with bartering pets, which Dad took for trade for engine work at the shop. We had more purebred dogs than anything, but the list goes on with cows, goats, parakeets, chickens, cats, and even a monkey. The monkey, named Liza, was mean. Shelley will never forget the day that Mom was cleaning the cage and she had moved the monkey temporarily into Shelley and Rita's bedroom in a smaller rabbit cage. Shelley was on the lower bunk bed under the covers as she watched the evil monkey untwist the wire that held the cage door shut. The monkey got out and lunged at her face, and Shelley, screaming, threw her hands to protect her face, the monkey biting her and tearing her hand open. Mom came to the rescue, left the monkey in the bedroom, shut the door, and took Kelly to Eugene Clinic, downtown. Mom was a dreamer in the 70s. She bought a yellow Bluebird school bus. Picture the Partridge Family bus, but without the great paint job. She thought she was going to turn it into a motorhome. She dreamed of travel by boat and bought a large blue metal ship bottom and was going to build a yacht. Later, it became a swimming pool. She saved money for months and showed up at the shop one day with the 6 youngest kids loaded in the truck and camper. She told Dad, "Close the doors, we're going to Mexico." Dad was in disbelief. She explained to him that she had saved the money, already had contacted the customers, and that he needed to hurry up as she wanted to make it to the California border before it got dark. The 6 weeks adventure took them to La Paz and back, camping along the Sea of Cortez, and it was one of her most favorite vacations. Well, Shelley, this is your turn. Where are you?
Right here.
Right there. You can straighten everybody out right now.
Well, I just want to say my mom, whatever has happened in life, she has had it happen to her, and she was a stronger woman for it. She was strong up to the day she died. Yeah, a fighter. She just, I have so much respect for her, for everything she went through in life. So many memories. I can't even pick one. There's so many.
Okay, thank you. The 1980s. More fun times for sure. Glenn and some friends brought Mom a dead possum and asked if she would cook it for them. Being from the South, she knew exactly how to prepare it. You would not believe the amount of grease that comes off a roasted possum. The last of the kids were becoming teenagers. Mom started to see some relief as kids could take care of themselves. She dreamed of going to Belize someday. There were more local outings, and Mom leased a deli in Winchester Bay for one summer and called it Mae B's Deli. Shelley and Rita had never worked so hard in their entire life as they did that summer. The biggest tragedy as a mother is the loss of your children. Jerry was shot and killed in 1982, and Glenn committed suicide in 1984. The pain of these losses were so hard to watch both Mom and Dad go through. They sold the Monroe Street shop in 1984. She suffered more losses in her family when she lost her sister Lois in 83, her mother, Grandma Murray, in 85, and then her father in 1986 when he suffered a stroke during their road trip to visit relatives in Mississippi. He passed on July 4th of that year. Her youngest brother, Walter, passed in 1989. With the sale of the shop, they could finally retire. Off to California they went, taking Shelley with them. They even left her for a period of time with the McDonald's. They did go back and get her, and she was the last to graduate in 1988. Keith joined the Army as well. They sold the house on Bailey Hill to purchase the property in Casa Grande, Arizona, so they could snowbird with Marge and Brookie. At the time the house sold, Sacred Heart had a lien against it for unpaid medical bills. Oh, really? From all the catastrophic injuries sustained over the years. They still managed to have enough to buy their property and a park model home. By the end of the 80s, Mom had experienced a total of 13 school graduations, or GEDs, and 14 weddings of her children. They took a road trip and drove to Florida for Jack's second wedding to Tina, and to Phoenix for Shelley's first wedding. In 1990s, Mom and Dad took a real vacation to Germany to visit Keith. The 90s were filled with more grandkids, and the 36th and last grandchild, Carson Taker, was born in 1997. Rita was the last child to marry in 1992. Mom didn't believe in or support any of her children's choice of divorce. 8 of them divorced and again remarried, making a total of 20 times her children had married. She truly believed no matter how bad things got, you stuck it out till death do you part. She and Dad certainly had their ups and downs as a couple. The 2000s. Mom and Dad returned to Oregon, moving into a house that Shelley had found for them in no time. As they aged and their health began to fail, this enabled their children to be able to take care of them, especially when they could no longer drive. Mom spent weeks in the hospital with pancreatitis and a blocked bile duct. It didn't look good that she would pull through, but somehow she proved the doctors wrong. She and Dad celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary on September 18, 2005, and then Dad passed away on December 1st of that year. Soon after, Mom wanted to move back to Winchester Bay. She bought a small single-wide trailer there in a park. The 2010s. In 2010, Mom had a stroke with a brain bleed, which left her debilitated and confined to a chair. Mom lost her eldest son, Jack, in September of 2010, and in 2011, her brother William passed away. She lost her sister Frances in 2013. The sad times continued for her with another medical tragedy for Keith in June 2014 when he also suffered a brain bleed. May 2nd, 2018, Mom celebrated her 90th birthday with a big party, which she drove herself to in her electric wheelchair. Her brother James, Jack, passed on her birthday of that year. On July 24th, 2019, our mother left this world to go be with Dad. Mom endured more than any mother should have had to. There were good times for her, but honestly, there were so many bad and tragic times. In her last 5 weeks while she was at the care home, she was completing an activities questionnaire, and one of the questions was, "What is your biggest accomplishment of which you are proud?" Her answer, "My children." Another question that the activities coordinator asked her, "I've seen some of your daughters. Are all of your children beautiful?" Her reply, "Yes, they are all beautiful." There is no such thing as a perfect parent. You do the best you can and learn how to do it better with each child. By the time Shelley came along, she was a better mother, and this is why Mom and Shelley have been so close. Mom was a selfless person who sacrificed her own needs to make sure that none of her kids went without basic needs. In her younger years, she didn't express her love well to her kids. She had no patience, a sharp tongue, and at times a mean streak, but she had more determination than any of her children will ever have. She never owned fancy houses, fancy cars, or fancy jewelry, but she had so much more than that. A huge, loving family which made up for all the pain and suffering she endured. She was proud of her children and who they had become. She has left an indelible mark forever on this world, and her children and the hundreds of stories not mentioned here will be retold for many, many generations to come. Rest in peace, Mom. Thank you, Carmen. Beautiful writing. The facts of your mother's life could go on and on forever, but the most important stories and memories are yours. This is the story of your life and the life that was made better for you because of your mother. This is the life and the stories that you will share with the next generation. May knew that she wanted a large family. All of you here today are proof that her dream came true. In spite of the good times and the bad times, you were loved. And you may not have always felt that way, but the proof of that was in her reaction when any one of you got hurt or sick. May was selfless and truly dedicated her life to all of you, her family. She was always a caregiver, which started when her sister was a victim of polio, and as her parents aged, she was there for them. Your mother was the most determined and strong woman, creative, resourceful, hospitable, selfless, and so proud of her family. But if the truth be known, May was tired. Her body was spent, and she was in pain and ready to leave this world and join Claire, the love of her life, and the boys once again. And as Carmen told us, on July 24th, at the age of 91 years, 2 months, and 22 days, she said goodbye to us. As we gather here to say your final goodbyes to your mother, your sister, and your grandmother and great-grandmother, we need to take a moment to realize that we stand here on hallowed ground, because this is where we memorialize Dorothy Mae Brumwell. This is where your loved one will return to the earth from which we all came. It's here where future generations will find a connection to their roots. They will come here and feel a sense of belonging, a greater force called family. It's important for you to share the memories and all the stories with the next generations. This is what will keep them connected, is their roots. These little ones will not know the past without you sharing it with them. And it's important for them to know this, for them to build a better future for themselves. It's important for them to know this heritage, and the most important is to know family. So as we close, we ask, how would May want us to grieve? What would she want for us? Perhaps this poem answers that question. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we all must take, and each one must take it alone. It's all a part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick of heart, Go to the friends we know and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go. Carmen is, I guess Jeremy is going to lead us all in a song. It's on the back of your folder. If you would join him, he's going to start this.
We're going to wait for just a second. We just want to wait in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. We just are.
I have a little story though.
Okay, Wes is going to share a story.
Some of you know that Mom didn't have the best driving record in the world. She did teach a lot of us to drive, but she went through a lot of cars. But by 1958, she went down and bought a brand new 9-passenger station wagon without telling Dad. Drove it to the shop and said, "See what I bought." He stood there and looked at it, never said a word, but he walked in the shop, came out with a ball-peen hammer and went smack. And he said, "Now I don't have to worry about the second one."
Well, and I got a story about Mom out at Notai. 19